Hey guys, so today I wanted to talk about a new topic, one I've touched on a little bit in the past, but I want to get a little bit more in depth. So the topic today is guilt, shame, and fear, which I think are the three biggest enemies of transitioning and of being a transsexual in general, really. So I want to talk about each one of those individually and ways that you can, I guess, fight back against them. So the first is guilt. It's a really big one. I think all transsexuals feel this at probably most stages, but the most is probably prior to coming out. And it's driven by a few things, but I think one of the biggest is maybe a feeling of responsibility to other people, a feeling of responsibility to be who they expect you to be, the gender they expect you to be, what your family and friends want, what your loved ones want. But the truth is that and really the way to fight against that sort of thinking is to think about it in this way. The truth is that an authentic you is more valuable to your friends and loved ones and to the world in general than a false version of you. And if you go through the rest of your life not admitting to your loved ones or to your friends or to the world at large that you are transsexual and that you have these feelings, you are doing yourself a disservice and you're failing to become the best possible person you could be. Without a doubt, from my perspective, the world of knowledge that opens up to you as you transition, the things that you learn about yourself, there isn't really another way to learn them. And the things that you'll kind of have as revelations in your mind would not have happened without the transitioning. Um, they basically come as a result of facing this guilt and facing this fear and this shame. So remember, the authentic you is more valuable to your family and to the world than a pretending you. There's also guilt over the feelings of others, so feeling guilty for the potential pain that you may inflict on others by coming out with the truth. Um, the truth here for me is that while you may inflict some pain by telling the truth about who you are, some sadness and possibly some anger. Those things are temporary, and what you gain, though, by being honest, is an opportunity to teach an incredibly valuable lesson that others won't have learned without your help. You are a rare person. You are a transsexual. There aren't that many people like us. It's one in several thousand at probably the minimum. Uh, you are likely the only transsexual that most of the people in your life will ever know personally. So by being open and honest about who you are, the sadness and anger and those sorts of temporary emotions that people may have in reaction to you coming out will be eclipsed over the course of their lifetime with the benefit that they will have in knowing you, a transsexual person, and the ripple effect that will have on the rest of their interactions with society and the conversations that they have with others regarding transgender people, or even in their perspective of how they view anybody who maybe is different from the norm. If you're surrounded your entire life by people who are average or unremarkable in terms of their presentation or how they look, you may not stop and consider some of the implications for those who aren't. So you have an opportunity by being honest to really make an impact. The second one's shame. Shame, this is really maybe one of the hardest ones to get over and one that I still deal with, and I think all transsexual people deal with for a long time, especially before their transition. I think shame is maybe one of the strongest motivators for keeping trans people in the closet. Um, and the bulk of it, for me, I think, comes just from an internalized transphobia. And this is something that's kind of ground into you from the earliest days of your exposure to media or public opinion about transsexual people. Uh, it's difficult to get around this. I mean, we haven't been represented kindly, and your opinion of yourself has been shaped by the public's perception and the public opinion of you or of transsexual people in general. So in order to combat this, and it's really hard, and it just requires a lot of effort, there are a few things I think that are especially important. And the first is getting a real feel for what being a transsexual means. And thank goodness we have the internet these days that kind of shows the truth about that. We don't have to rely on caricatures or representations given to us by mainstream media. You can actually look at real life true stories, watch videos like the one you're watching right now, and get an understanding on a personal level of real individual stories and what it really means to be a transsexual in this world. And that, we're not deviant, we're not irregular, we're not bizarre people. We have this condition or this situation that we have to deal with in our lives, but we're just as valuable and productive and wonderful as anybody else in this world. So read narratives, watch videos, join discussion groups, get on Reddit, find out what it really means to be a transsexual in this world, and don't rely on the caricatures that you see on TV or you read in mainstream news. They're not accurate. The second part to that is find some heroes. They're all over the place. They're on YouTube, they're on Reddit, like I said, they have blogs. There's so many transsexuals who are so brave and really speak out and tell their stories in ways that are really identifiable. And I said this in other videos, you can certainly find somebody on YouTube or on the internet that will really resonate with you, that you'll feel, I guess, part of yourself in them. And that can be so hugely important. I know it was for me. Third part of that, read Whipping Girl. You've probably seen that recommended. I'll link it in the bottom here in the description. It's so hugely important, I think, to read a book like this. It really will help shift, I think, a lot of your perspectives and give you insight into, I think, some of your own misconceptions that you may never have realized without reading this book. It was really, really valuable to me. This is maybe the biggest one, this next one. Try and become somebody else's hero. Sometimes it can be hard to see beyond your own feelings of shame. Internalized transphobia can be really difficult to overcome. So you may know that the internalized feelings of transphobia are intellectually unwarranted, but trying to convince yourself lacks authority. I think it can be more powerful sometimes to have conversations with other people where you're talking about this topic and relaying that intellectual knowledge to others. I know when I talk to other people about this, this sort of thing, and I make videos like this, sometimes just hearing myself explain it, or when I hear myself explain it to other people, it becomes much more real. It doesn't feel like some sort of self-talk. It feels more like, this is the truth I know in my heart, and when you convey it to others and other people hear you say it, it becomes more real. That's true for me. So go out there and tell people about your experience and your feelings and your association with shame and how unwarranted it truly is and kind of why you feel that way. And I think that'll help as well. The last thing, fear, and this is everything with transition. Everything around transitioning involves fear. In order to transition, it's just about conquering fear constantly. It's one battle over fear after another. And it's simultaneously the most difficult thing and also one of the most wonderful, because conquering fear translates to so many other areas of your life. If you can conquer fear here, you can probably do it pretty much anywhere. So the key, the three keys that I found in conquering fear are, I've talked about a few of them. First is baby steps. So you can't do it all at once, and the more things you try and pile on at one time, the more fear you're going to have to deal with. So break it down. Conquer one little fear at a time. I think you'll find it's a bit easier. The second is goal setting. If you don't set goals and meet them, you're going to have a really difficult time with this. So set little goals. little baby step goals, and then accomplish them one by one. You'll feel better, and the next one, you'll feel more confident that you'll be able to accomplish it, and you'll reduce that fear. And the last part is you have to adopt somewhat of a fuck it all attitude, um, to be a little crude, but honestly, you have to do it. You just have to say, like, I give up. I'm sick of caring so much. I've just gotta do what's best for me here. I don't really care what you say. I don't really care what you think. I need to do this for me, and that's it. Fuck everything else, honestly. Um, anyway, that's it. Not super well thought out, but I'd love to hear your thoughts on it if anybody wants to comment. Thanks, guys.